Do you know what today is? If you're thinking to yourself, yeah, it's unlucky Friday the 13th, you're only partially right. It is Friday the 13th, but it's February 13th, which means it's Galentine's Day. If you're thinking to yourself, that sounds kind of familiar, but what exactly is Galentine's Day? It is the special day set aside for women to celebrate their gal pals and what they mean in their lives. So, have you ever wondered where did that term come from? When exactly did it start? Because it hasn't been around forever. Well, I'm going to let you think on that for just a minute while I roll the intro. Hello and happy Galentine's Day. My name is Marilee Grace, and I am the host of this podcast. Okay, so here's the deal. Have you been thinking about it? Where did Galentine's Day start? When did that term start being used? Because it hasn't been around forever. I'm telling you, if it would have been, me and my friends, when we were growing up, we'd have been all over that every single year, doing all of the things. Well, Galentine's Day is a special day set aside to really celebrate those friendships, the other women in your life that bring light and life into your life. When did it start? Well, I did a little bit of research and I found that the very first Galentine's Day was celebrated in February of 2010. And it wasn't how you might be thinking. It actually was created and celebrated in a sitcom on NBC. It was called Parks and Recreation. And you may have watched it, you may have been a fan. The character played by Amy Poehler, she came up with this notion, Galentine's Day. It was going to be the best day of the year for women, and they were going to celebrate all their gal pals. And little did that writer know that something so innocently written into a sitcom would become a national and global phenomenon. Galentine's Day is literally celebrated all around the country and even in different parts of the world. So, I hope you have some really big plans for Valentine's Day. I know that I myself, if I look into social media and scroll just a little bit, there's all sorts of different Valentine's Day celebrations. There's going to be karaoke and wine tastings, and you can make a charcuterie board, and you can go do painting and pottery, all sorts of different events for Valentine's Day for you and your besties. Now, one thing that's really important, I think, as women, it's important for us to maintain our friendships, to have those people in our lives that we can laugh with, that we can cry with, that have our back, that we can call at 2 o'clock in the morning when all hell is breaking loose in our lives. And for me, who will help me pack up and move when the time has come for me to say enough is enough and leave a 29-year marriage. If it weren't for my gal pals, I don't know what I would have done. I was recently reading an article on friendship, and it was very intriguing because it was talking about the difference between childhood friendships and how easy it seemed for children to make friends and adult friendships, and that the adult friendships, they seemed to struggle. It was harder to form friendships as an adult. Why do you suppose that was? Well, in this article, it said it basically was due to proximity. Children make friends with the kids in the neighborhood. Those kids in the neighborhood are also the same kids that they get on the school bus with, that they go to school and have PE and lunch and classes with. They have their extracurricular activities. They go to extracurricular activities. They're in school clubs together. They're around each other a lot. And then when they come home, they're Snapchatting, they're texting, they're playing online games with those same people, those same children. That's not the case for us when we become adults. When we are adults, we may or may not know the name of the person that lives next door or down the street. We definitely don't work with all the people our age that live on our street. We commute. We go to a job where there are people from other communities, even other towns. Sometimes we actually are online doing remote work. So we don't have people, we don't have that constant physical presence with people. We also, when we're at work, it's a much different environment than kids at school. We don't have recess. Wouldn't that be great if we did? We have lunch, but it's often at our desk or in our car when we're running errands because we have things to do. We are going to stop and buy groceries. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I've done that before. Use my lunch break to run errands and get a few things done so that I'm not forever doing things when I get home. And that makes it hard to form a friendship. We also we don't have time at night to spend Snapchatting, texting, to be on video games and all the things that kids do. We're busy doing laundry, making a grocery list, making a meal, picking up Johnny from his practice, taking Susan to her piano lesson. We have other things that are occupying our time. So we don't have as much time to invest. And friendships, they take intentionality, they take some priority, they take energy. And oftentimes at the end of the day, at the end of the week, we just don't have that energy. It's just gone. But I want to tell you, it's really important to go ahead and expend that energy, renew that friendship, start a new friendship, go do an activity that's maybe it can be something that your kids are involved in and you start forming friendships with the other moms. I've done that as a baseball mom. I've had baseball mom friends, but those tend to be some seasonal friendships because when baseball season's done, we move on to the next with our kids. And we don't always have a lot of time where we are investing in maintaining those friendships until the next season. So if you've ever been down on yourself because of your friendships, lack of friendships, lack of really strong friendships, don't be down on yourself so much. It's not really your fault. It's because you got older and priorities have changed. It is important, though, for us, especially as women, to have those female friendships and to invest that time. So I do encourage you to start carving out some time for yourself to work on those friendships. And you know what? I've talked to a lot of divorced women, and they have told me that after they got divorced, they had more time to put into friendships. They weren't restricted. They weren't told that that person's not a good influence or I don't like you spending time with this person. It's taken away from the family time, it's taken away from your responsibilities, all these things that the sometimes toxic spouse will tell the woman to really keep her from having or growing any sort of friendships and outside communication with other people. And so women, once they've gone through divorce, when they have the time, they choose to invest in forming some friendships so that they have those gal pals and they can do those things. They can go out to dinner. They can have a girls' night in playing whatever game that they enjoy playing with their friends, or going to a movie or a theater show or anything that they desire because they're not being told what they can and can't do. And if you're that woman, you know. Now, whenever I am starting a new friendship, I will oftentimes watch and be observant of the people that I am spending my time with. I want to make sure that it is a person that can match my energy or that isn't going to steal my energy. I will watch and I will see how they interact with other people. And then I look for opportunities to put myself in situations with them. And that's one of the ways that I first made friends back about 8 years ago when I was at a new job. And I wanted some friendships. I was kind of lonely. And I started putting myself in situations where I could spend some time with these people outside of office because sometimes it's hard to spend time in the office. You're doing your work. It's hard to form a friendship when you're inside the office setting. So I waited for an opportunity to go out to lunch. It was an open invitation, and I started talking with the women. And I found that there were several women that I just kind of clicked with. And so I used that as a stepping stone to spend a little bit more time, go out to lunch again the next week. And it kind of became a pattern and a habit. And then we planned to spend some time together outside of work, doing something fun, going out for coffee on a Saturday morning, or going over to each other's house for dinner, things like that. That's the way to start to build and nurture a friendship. It doesn't have to be big and huge and fast. It can be slow and steady, investing time, investing with intentions, and really investing in yourself and the other person. And that's how great friendships are made. Now, I am hoping that you have a wonderful Galentine's Day celebration planned, that you and your besties are going to go out and do something fun. Throw some acts, throw some clay, paint some paintings, sing some songs, drink some wine. I hope you have a great time. I hope you have a lot of fun. And it's still early. It's not too late to give a friend a call and say, "Hey, let's go out and do something. Let's celebrate this Galentine's Day thing." But I also want to touch on something that happened after Galentine's Day, February 14th, Valentine's Day. For many of you, it may have been a holiday that was ruined in the past. And if that's you, I want you to sit down tonight and make a plan. If you've listened to episode 3, when I talk about trigger days and I talk about my trigger day toolkit, I want you to sit down and make a plan how you're going to spend tomorrow. What are you going to do to create a new, wonderful Valentine's Day memory? I personally, I know that my day is going to involve some sourdough. because it's the weekend, I usually make sourdough on the weekend and I make all sorts of crazy different flavors. So I'm going to make something fun that I can snack on later that evening when I have a date with myself and I'm staying in. I'm going to have my favorite snacks. I'm going to have a few of my favorite drinks and I'm going to watch a funny movie. Nothing big, doesn't have to be. I don't want to be out and about on Valentine's Day. And I'm also going to be really careful about what I watch and what I do on social media. It can be very triggering to be scrolling through and seeing people celebrating with a significant other that is maybe a little bit different than the one that you divorced. You're seeing flowers, you're seeing candy, and it's really easy to get down in the dumps and go down that rabbit hole and have just a really Debbie Downer day. And I don't want that for you. So, episode 3, trigger days, trigger day toolkit, make a plan, follow your plan so that tomorrow when you wake up, you know what you're going to do and how you're going to plan the day and how you're going to navigate through the day. And you're going to make a great new Valentine's Day memory. And before I leave today, I want to tell you next week, I'm going to be talking about joy. And I'm going to be telling you a little story about an interesting conversation I had with my mother about joy and why I was never going to have joy in my life ever again. So make sure you tune in next week to get all of the details. Until next week, though, friends, remember, you are not meant to do this alone. Together, we will continue to rise.